All right. I think we are live. Welcome back to the stream, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Please hit that like and subscribe and everything. And welcome back. Today we're going to talk about has the car market popped? Everything is going down right now. Stocks are going down. Crypto is going down. But is the homes are slightly going down because of interest rates have gone up. But has the auto market, has that popped and has that going down? And specifically, are we seeing a change in prices for Tesla? So I got some data and some tabs, some articles we can pull up. We'll of course go through like Mannheim Auction values to see if there's been any change for like the Model Ys or the Model 3s, because there's a lot more volume for those. And then we'll just take a look at what's the demand look like. Is interest rates for auto loans going to affect it? Maybe we can take a look to see what current rates are, and to see maybe it'll be a good time for you to buy a Tesla now, or try to get your hands on Tesla, even how to get one. Or is it a good time to just wait? Maybe throw your name into the queue for an order and just pray and hope for a price decrease in the future, because you could always just ask them to adjust it, I'm pretty sure. Or just order another one if it's a pretty substantial price increase. But yeah, this all kind of started because I saw a Stephan video about the car market popping. There's been a couple other channels that talk about like this looming valuations between like the auto used cars out there, with a lot of people in maybe potentially in loans that they shouldn't be in, with low interest rates, or they got approved with income that isn't necessarily income. So maybe there might be some defaults looming in the near future. But we'll talk through some data on the used car prices now to see if we see any decreases, and then kind of the future, what the near future holds. But yeah, let's jump into it. And of course, after then, we're going to react. After we go through all of it, we're going to react to the Stephan video. Check it out again. I did watch it one time, but we're going to react to it and I'll give my feedback on that. And then of course, we'll do a Tesla Q&A, buying, selling, flipping, financing. And if you have any questions about buying a Tesla, I'll answer them at the end, or try and answer them throughout, but then of course I'll try and answer them at the end as well. But yeah, jumping right into it, Cargurus. Cargurus actually has a really cool kind of data backend site, very similar to kind of Redfin. Let me see if I can drag this over to here. So Redfin has a data center tracker that tracks all the different housing and things like that for prices, medium sale price, listing sale price, pending sales, and everything. But CarGurus also does something pretty similar. You can see they have like a CarGurus used car index, which doesn't necessarily show any decrease at all from the beginning of the year to now. There was a slight blip, it looks like, in March, maybe like right before tax seasons, as like people wanted to wait for their tax refunds before buying a car. And then right after taxes hit, kind of all the way through May, used car prices didn't really go down at all, maybe just like a teeny little bit, but they have just spiked up through June and July, and really there hasn't been any signs of it coming down at all, which you'll see in the auction data. In the Mannheim auction, there's really been no decrease in the sale prices between dealer to dealer, and dealers buy from each other before selling it on to a private sale. But scrolling down to here, you can see all the different brands and everything. Looks like Acura took a little dip within the past 30 days, like 1%. Some Chrysler, Chevrolet, Ford is up. Ferrari is up 1%. Yeah, really don't see anything too crazy here. McLaren up 2%. That's kind of interesting because it's already probably really highly elevated. So I guess there's been a run on used McLarens. Scrolling down here, really don't see any dips. Toyota is up 1.2%, and Tesla, of course, is up 1%, but we got a 10% and a 21% metric. So in the past 90 days, it's up 10%, and then year over year, it's up 15%, which is pretty crazy, but that's probably because of the recent Tesla price increases, or the price increases throughout the past few months. That's probably what's really going on there in terms of why the used car prices are up. It's just there's elevated demand, or kind of superficial or fake demand, because of the prices. So that's probably why it's up like that. But going into Tesla, you can actually dive into the specific models and everything is just up. Model 3, their cheapest Tesla car variant, is up 2.4% in the last 30 days in terms of pricing, up 10.6% over 90 days and 16% year over year. The Model S and X, this is probably the most craziest. Let me chart this over. If you can see it, yep. So the Model S and the X, Model S is up 40%, but that's because there's a new refresh and the new features of it, so there's probably way more demand there. And then the Model X is up 20%, kind of the same thing because of the new model and everything up there. Model Y up 15% year over year. That's probably because of the price increases, but there's still strong demand, and there really isn't too many price decreases at all. It's kind of flat throughout this past couple months. Model Y increased just a little bit, so I don't think we've seen much of the recent Tesla new price increases reflect here. We'll probably see that in the next few weeks, as long as demand stays strong for the used Teslas and interest rates don't go higher. But I mean, there is a looming another rate hike, I think, in a couple of weeks, so that probably could stifle demand, as it stifled demand in the housing market in certain areas. But I think just like the housing market, where certain areas are seeing a dip in terms of housing prices for certain cities, like maybe Arizona or Vegas, it's kind of probably going to be the same thing with auto models. There's going to be certain brands that there's not going to be as much demand, so it's not going to hold as strong. But Tesla is in demand, so I don't think there's going to be too much of a price dip. So they're going to be holding strong because people just want these cars, I guess, which is good. If you're looking to buy one, or you have a pending order, it's definitely worth it to take delivery, drive it for a little bit, experience the EV life, and then if you hate it, don't like it all, you could easily sell it, and you probably won't lose too much money like before in the past, where you would buy a car, lose a driver for a little bit, and lose a bunch of money. You probably won't lose too much money at all with a Tesla. But I think this is where the looming why people think there's going to be a pending crash for auto cars, is because it seems like delinquencies and people not paying their bills in terms of car loans has kind of gone up, has spiked up, but it's really just gone back to normal, to what pandemic was, or right before pandemic, according to a couple of these articles. Which is really interesting, though, is this headline here: Gen Zs and millennials default on auto loans at a far greater rate than before the pandemic. So it seems like maybe a lot of people in the younger ages are getting cars that they shouldn't be, and they're just not paying at all on these vehicles. But yeah, data from TransUnion shows people between the ages of 18 and 40 were at least 60 days past due on their auto loans in the first quarter of 2022. So hopefully, I mean, or maybe it'd be a good thing if they do have Teslas, so there'll be more used Teslas in the market. But most likely, this is people that are approved on other types of makes and models that are a little bit easier to get financed. Tesla's not a very easy car to get financed. You have to jump through some hoops, or at least have some established credit or a low debt to income ratio, because they're expensive cars, 50, 60K, 70K plus. So most likely, I would imagine these are not Tesla drivers, but you never know. I mean, we might see a flood in used Teslas coming back to the market because of loans are defaulting, and there's, I guess, what's the word where they repo your car, where there's repos or repossessions on Teslas. Maybe we'll see a spike down below, but I don't think so at all, because Tesla has raised the price, which, like, a couple thousands of dollars. I went over in my last video how much they've raised it per model, but because they've raised the price on certain models, that's going to then raise the price on used models, because let's say if you have not been shopping or looking at Tesla prices at all, and you see on the Tesla website that, a Model 3 is going to be 50 whatever K or 46K, you then think like, oh, a used one at 44K is a great deal, not necessarily knowing that people have bought these Model 3s at a way lower, or a couple thousands of dollars lower, for the past 6 months beforehand. So there's really it's not necessarily a good deal, even though it looks like it's a good deal. because of the prices have just gone up in retail value essentially over the past 6 months to a year. There is a really cool spreadsheet if you're interested in seeing kind of all the different price increases that Tesla has done. I'll kind of land on the Model 3 right here so you can kind of take a look while I drink some water. You can see Tesla has really messed with, is that a good word? Adjusted the price a lot of Model 3s and all the models throughout the past few years. It started at 54, then went all the way down to like 47K-ish for the long range. And then it went back up to 57K. And then the short range was started at like 37 right here, short range plus. And then it is now 46K. So if you're someone that bought a short range for 37, you drove it for a year and now you're looking to sell it, and someone that is looking versus someone that's brand new looking at it at 47, they see yours at 42K and they're going to think it's, you know, it's a fantastic deal. So why is my computer trying to update? Okay, yeah. So they're going to think it's a fantastic deal. So our price is going to decrease on Teslas. I don't think so. I think in terms of the looming car market, bust or repossessions, it's probably going to be next other models and probably far for Tesla. Until the one thing that's kind of looming that probably people talk about is the fact that other OEMs are really starting to pump out, you know, good product in terms of EVs and really starting to take some sales away from Tesla. Like Hyundai, there was like a report that Hyundai sold a bunch of cars recently that maybe has surpassed Tesla. Rena's World, I just sold my 2020 long range Y for a 13,000 profit, 42,000 miles. That is amazing. So you basically drove the heck out of it for, I don't know, I want to say that's like 2-3 years, and then was able to just flip it and make money. Tyson Industries, you should take a look at Rena's option. They did a pretty good job. Maybe you can replicate it. All right, so moving forward, we'll go through some Mannheim Auction to see if there's been any changes recently in the past like couple weeks since the price increases or since the rate hikes. The rate hikes have affected the financing for cars as well. So we'll go through a couple different vendors that I typically go through, and rates have been higher. They're higher like by a couple percentage points for sure. So it's definitely super interesting. Wow, Rita, you had it for a year. Wow, you drove a ton of miles for 1 year. Where did you, I guess, do you maybe drive for work? Which is another funny thing is if you do drive for work, I don't know if you saw that the IRS just released new guidelines for June of last month. Throughout the end of this year, the IRS mileage rate will now go to like 62 cents. We could probably search this up. IRS mileage rate, like 62 cents now instead of 62.5 cents instead of 58 cents, 0.5 cents. So that's a 4 cents increase. So I want to say that's like 8%, which is matching inflation exactly, which is pretty cool for the IRS to come out and do this to really help everybody that drives for work or as kind of their own boss that needs this mileage rate reimbursement to write off their taxes. The car market has nowhere near popped yet. Explain your thesis. Exactly. I think the car market is nowhere near popped yet either. There's really just a response to another YouTuber by the name of Stephan. He released a video about the car market popping, and he cited some reasons why. And I don't think it's where you're not even close. Maybe we're probably going to see other things like stocks and housing crash a little bit first, but the car market has a production issue. I guess similarly, the housing market has a housing supply issue, and maybe when push comes to shove, more used cars will come onto the market, which will then push the market down. But we'll see. So that's why I put a question mark on this video. I think I put a question mark, popped, because oh no, I didn't. So I was, I guess I'm trying to make a statement here, trying to get the clickbait. So thank you for clicking on the video, because I was able to, so we can join the discussion, because I don't think the used car market has popped, but we're going through some data here. First thing was CarGurus on the pricing of certain models, and it's still strong, still relatively strong high. We're going to look at some Mannheim auction data next, where dealers sell to each other to see if there's any price changes, to see if there's any dips and them buying from each other at the used car values, because they're going to go ahead and turn around and sell those to customers. So you would see it there first. If value started to dip in Mannheim, that means that the dealers that are buying those cars have no one to sell it to. So that's why they're kind of not going to be buying it. Bought it used in March of 2021, and bought it used in 2021 for 47K with 2,700 miles. Wow. And then you made 13K profit. So you sold it for 60K. That's amazing. What maintenance did you? I'm curious. Did you have to do a brand new set of tires or anything like that, or alignments? Because 47K, you could probably get close to one set of tires, but I'm actually really curious. Did you have to like touch the brakes at all? I've heard you can drive a long time on a Tesla or any EV with brakes, but actually super curious. It will eventually, but this is nowhere near. Sub to Scott Kilmer. Yes, I love watching Scott Kilmer's videos. He's such a different take and kind of sharp and like kind of straight to the point with his videos. So I like popping in just to see what kind of his mind is thinking. But he's a very different personality on YouTube. That's for sure. But I do like his content because he takes it kind of next level. But yeah, going to Mannheim auction. Of course, we're on a Nissan GTR, so let me go ahead and change that. Let's go to like the Tesla Model 3 first. All-wheel drive. Let's go with the long range because I want to say most people get the long range. So 2021 Tesla Model 3 all-wheel drive long range. And okay, so we're seeing a slight dip here. You guys see this clearly? Okay, perfect. So it looks like one just went out of the auction yesterday for 58,500, but it definitely had some good mileage, 24,000 miles. But it was, I mean, Nashville. That's not necessarily I don't want to say that's a hot Tesla market. It might be, but probably the more coastal cities are. But if anybody's from Nashville, they want to go ahead and correct me, and they say Teslas are everywhere, that Teslas are everywhere there, then let me know. But yeah, so we are seeing a slight, ever so slight dip, or it's kind of all over the place. Okay, so 58,000, 15K miles, 56,000, 11K, 60,000, 12K, 62, 7K. It's kind of all over the place. MMR, so they try and give an average of all this. They are saying it's 59,200 is the good value to put a number on it. If you know, to be unscathed, or true value in a sense, if they had to dump it, if like a dealer were to buy a car from a customer and then they could just dump it, they would get 59K. So definitely don't expect trying to sell if you have a 2021 Tesla Model 3 long range today and you're trying to sell it to a dealer, don't expect 59, because whatever dealer you're going to sell it to, they're going to try and turn around and sell it to another dealer at worst case scenario. So they typically will offer you $1,000 to $2,000 less than this. The 59K is probably like a true 57K, maybe even 56K, depending on what condition your car is in. If it needs tires, got a lot of dings or scratches, I would expect like a 56, 57 if you were to sell it to a dealer. But I mean, the market's still holding strong. Not a lot of dips so far. This one is like pretty crazy here. Like a couple weeks ago, 65,000 with 9,000 miles on it. So that's they got a pretty good deal for that one for Dallas when they were looking to sell it. Arenas World, it needed tires when I sold it. I could have drove it for at least another 5 to 10K on original tires. That's crazy. Okay, that's good though. You rotate your tires every 5K. That's pretty good. Did you have to pay each time for rotation, or did you sorry, or did you sign up for like a package where it's like $60 one time and then you get unlimited rotations for that? Once I started seeing you and Bearded Tesla Guy sell your cars for profit, I put mine on for sale. Nice. So did you sell your Model Y to a dealer, or did you sell it to a private seller? Because that's always the interesting thing. Like, are people, like, who's paying these elevated prices for Model Ys and Model 3s? I mean, I know their demand is there. People can't wait. They just got to have it. They want to buy a car immediately. I definitely know the feeling. But I do wonder like who's buying these cars. Are these customers that have, you know, high interest rates or maybe third tier financing? They just need to buy something right away, or like they're just good money. They just got the money. They got to have it. They just pay cash. And did they, okay, so you sold it private. Did they pay cash? Did they finance it? I'm like super curious. Tyson Industries car prices are up for certain state taxation. Car prices are up for certain state taxation. What do you mean by that exactly? Do you mean like the states want their tax when they sell their cars, so the dealers have to elevate it so that they can pay the higher sales tax, or what do you mean by that exactly? Rena's World, the person that I bought it from turned around and put up for sale for 65K cash. Wow, okay, so that's some, I wonder why they did it. Maybe they had a Model Y on order that they finally came in, so they just went and took delivery of a new one. But I guess that's a different type of flipper, buying 60K and then trying to make a quick 5K profit, or 9% give or take if they pay cash. That's a lot riding on it. I mean, it might be worth it depending on who they sell it to, but definitely interesting. Car prices are up for registration. Yeah, if you're a state like California where you have to pay yearly registration fees based on the value of the car, then the state is going to make a lot more money because more cars being sold at higher prices, which then dictates higher resale, higher taxation for the city and the state. They buy and resell Tesla. All right, that's pretty cool. Which area is that? Because I'm trying to get like a resource page of all the buyers and sellers that are paying good money. Is that, did you say that was Texas? But yeah, that's good to hear that. I wonder maybe if you can get another one and just sell it to them, where I guess maybe that's their forte, and just of selling Teslas. All right, so 2021 Tesla Model 3 all-wheel drive, it seems like it's still up. The values are still up. What's up, Ming? That's why I gotta leave VA. Yeah, well, California is even worse. We basically pay 1% on the value of the car every year. Actually, no, it's not as bad as Virginia, because Virginia is 4% yearly. So never mind, you guys got it worse. All right, so Model 3 all-wheel drive. We're on the Mannheim dealer-to-dealer auction report here, so we're gonna now move to the Model Y all-wheel drive just to see if there's been any dips. And then Ming, since you're here, we'll take a look at some Ioniq data as well, because the Ioniq is a good flip to buy and resell to other people. So maybe the values have changed in the past week with the more demand, or maybe they've gone down because interest rates are looming and they're going up. But yeah, 2021 Tesla Model Y all-wheel drive long range, 69,800 MMR right here. That is just absolutely insane. Like literally 6 months ago, you could take delivery of a Model Y long range for, like, I want to say 55K sale price, maybe like 60K out the door. So that's a quick $9,000 profit on that. But scrolling down to the actual transactions down here, July 6th, 69K 500, 8,000 miles, 71,000, 12,000 miles, 72,000, 12,000 miles, 68,000, 33,000 miles. Holy crap. That person drove a lot. They almost drove as much as you did, Rena's World. But Rena, now that you're here, we should take a look at the 2020 Model Y, because you just said you sold one. So Model Y, you had a long range? Okay, so 2020 Model Y long range that Rena's World just sold, 66,200. So you actually did pretty good actually. It's gone up a little bit, it looks like, but you said 45,000 miles, so that's definitely gonna hit the value a little bit. Okay, so base 62. So you didn't do too bad, because remember we talked about this is actual auction values. So a dealer that would looking to sell or flip it would offer you about $1,000 to $2,000 less than this before selling to someone else. So you actually did pretty good. About $2,000 to $3,000 less than MMR is what I typically target, because I don't expect dealers to give me MMR value, because they got to make money and they have to operate and run their business as well. So you did pretty good. You could have held out for a little bit longer, but no, I think you did perfectly fine. Yeah, just dump it, especially with 45K miles. The tires are definitely getting close, or 42,000 miles, the tires are definitely getting close. So you don't want to spend that 1 to 1,500 in tires to repair that. It's definitely not worth it, because that would just eat into your profits. So all right, so let's see. Nevada Arenas World. Okay, yeah, I heard Nevada doesn't have sales tax for private sales. That's pretty freaking awesome. I don't know what that does to car values, because I bet people just raise their price even more because they don't have to pay sales tax on it. Because in California, you got to pay 7% upfront on the used car price that you actually paid for. So that's pretty cool. Hey, Martin, Montreal, Canada, welcome. Tyson Industries, Ohio, for instance, can be sold for $1. One state over in Kentucky, the courts go by Blue Book. Oh, that's interesting. So in Ohio, you could literally like gift it or sell to someone for $1 and not pay any taxes. Like Kentucky, that hurts. So they probably just verify every single transaction to really get their money. So then, can you gift cards in Kentucky then? Because I don't know. Happy Hippo, how long is this going to last? That is my exact question, and that's what we're trying to figure out today. Right now, we're looking at auction values, which is called Mannheim. This is actual data in which dealers are selling cars to each other at, probably to in turn make a profit. And we are not necessarily seeing a dip so far in terms of pricing. The other resource that I looked was there's a cool website called CarGuru Trends, Price Trends. You can actually take a look here to see at all the used cars across the country. Are they dipping in price? As well as like by model, are they dipping in price? So you can see here, they are not dipping in price for the Tesla Model 3 or any of the models. They're all actually up within the past 30 days, especially the Model Y, actually up 2% in the past 30 days. So what that probably is the most recent price increases that's probably reflecting there basically immediately. Sorry for the coughing, everyone. I'm recovering from COVID. I had it for like almost 2 weeks now, but I still got the cough a little bit. But yeah, thanks for all the comments in the chats. Thanks for watching the stream, for tuning in. Please hit that like and then subscribe. I like to go over the data between like the auction values and pricing. I love talking about buying Teslas and selling them, flipping them, and really just experiencing a Tesla for low cost or free even, or even like Rena making $13,000 for a whole year of driving, which is absolutely incredible. RV, what if you got the credits for Cali, CVRP, can you sell for profit without keeping the 3 years? So that's a very good question. And technically on the CVRP website, after you get your $2,000 to $4,500 in rebate, it actually says if you keep it less than the 3 years, you're supposed to pay a prorated amount back. But I can tell you, I can tell you, I did not keep one car for a lot of time. I was just short of it, and they haven't, knock on wood, they haven't gotten back to me or billed me yet. But I have the money set aside just in case they do bill me. They'll probably get hit with like, I don't know, a couple $100 or $500, which is not bad. I basically get a loan for free. Tyson Industries, I flip cars. Sleepy Joe's got the market screwed up for buyers. Exactly. Yes. Interest rates going up. Used car prices maybe going down, or they're just going to be paying a higher rate. We're going to go through some auto loan rates that I typically go through, like in terms of the banks, to see if they definitely are up, but we'll go through some. Hopefully they are lower than your, and I give you some good recommendations. Jason Scott, mashed potatoes. Exactly. Mashed potatoes and French fries or tater tots. That's what we're looking for today. So yeah, looks like Tesla Model Y and Model 3 holding strong. I mean, they're the bread and butter of Tesla. There was like a Tesla delivery report where they showed they basically sell like 80% or some high percentage of Tesla Model 3s and Ys. I do actually want to see the breakdown between the Model 3 and the Model Y. What's that split look like? I do have a hunch that Model Y is definitely, they outsell more of those, and the Model 3 is maybe starting to taper. But the Model 3 is the low cost or the most expensive Tesla, so there probably is still going to be demand. But I also have a hunch that the Model 3 is probably going to get redesigned pretty soon to try and elevate some more demand for that car. All right, so moving to the S. I mean, this is where it just gets bananas a little bit because Tesla really just raised the price on these recently. We'll go to the Tesla Model S long range, the one that I'm currently in, that I've had for 3 months now, and I'm trying to figure out the timing of all of it. Do I get out of it soon? Do I drive for a few more months? But MMR 104, this one is just really weird because there was like two curveballs out of here, 108 with 600 miles and 112 with 109 miles. These are definitely flippers, which I try not to flip immediately. I like to at least experience the car and drive for at least 6 months and drive. It's already got like 3,500 miles on it, but I'm hoping I could get I'm hoping I can get like over like 100,000. That would be pretty nice, and still drive like 4,000 to 5,000 miles. Tyson Anderson, gotta go. Some Meet Kevin Echo dramas. Love it. Love tuning into his stuff as well. The world is always ending on Meet Kevin, but take care. Rena's World, you're gonna come up in the S. Yeah, I'm not gonna make as much as you, I don't think, but at least I'll be able to drive it, experience it, because I've always wanted the S to drive it for hopefully a low cost and really like it. The S has really changed my perspective. I think like EV cars, suspension has always been rough for all Teslas and other EVs as well because it's just such a heavy car. You need good suspension, and the Model Y, unfortunately, and the Model 3 didn't have really the best suspension, but the Model S with the air suspension it's like drives like amazing, and I can't wait to maybe hopefully get another Tesla with the air suspension as well, because that would be pretty sick. But yeah, sorry. Oh shit. Model S auction values, nothing surprising here, or except for these two like crazy ones, which I think those are like anomalies of some sort. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they were like perfect color combination with full self-driving and everything. All right, moving to the X. This is where like the big money comes into play, because Model X they just raised it like another $10,000 or $5,000, so it's already like 140K car. But Model X 128, this is interesting actually. That's a very low price drop in comparison to the couple examples before, but 133, 131, 135, and then 128 almost 2 weeks or like a week or so, a week and a half or so later with similar mileage. So that's interesting. I bet I think we're going to see a drop in the Model X market, which makes sense. I mean, the Model X is such an expensive car, especially the long range one. Like right now, if you were to buy one out the door, you're probably at like 100. I mean, let's just take a look. I mean, let's go to the Model X. We go to the cheapest variant, $121,000 with no options. Let's say you get, okay, well, let's get the base wheels, so it's free. Base interior, you got to go at least some sort of third row. So black back, no enhanced autopilot, none of that, no full self-driving. None of that scam stuff. Okay, you're not gonna get it until next year, April of 2023. So you're gonna be waiting like almost a year. And then on top of that, you're out the door. Your price is $125,000 with tax and tipping your sales advisor and everything. $125,000. Let's just call it 10% with registration fees and everything. You're out the door $138,000. So right away, after paying $138,000, you are in the water. So that is not a good buy right now, unless you absolutely need a Tesla Model X. So unless you're buying it for like business as a write-off or something like that, that would be a tough pill to swallow. Readers were agreed. Once I lowered my Model Y LR, it was a big difference. Oh, cool. Which suspension kit, or did you go with like the unplugged performance for the Model Y long range? Because I think that's like the only version, but that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, Model X, that's a tough one. I do maybe have a pending order. It's gonna be tough. There's a lot of money on the line to be risked, but I guess maybe it's not necessarily my money because it's gonna be financed for sure. But yeah. All right, so hopefully Ming is still here. We'll take a look at some Hyundai Ioniq. I've talked about it time and time and time and time and a ton of my videos. I want to say at least 3 of my videos that there's a interesting thing to do in the market right now where you can buy an EV car, harvest the $7,500 federal tax credit if you make above 60K, and then turn around and flip it, and you basically profit the $7,500 when you file for your taxes. So the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is a good candidate for this because right now is basically 57K. Wow, a couple of them went 2 days ago. 57,500, 57,500, very low miles. So these people are definitely flipping them. But you could buy a car, hopefully don't pay too much markup, maybe even like $1,000. And then depending on your area with taxes and fees, you could be in and out of this car, maybe even at a slight profit, but hopefully breaking even. But once you go to file your taxes next year, you get the full $7,500 tax credit. And the beautiful thing with all this is you could buy a couple of them, maybe save some more tax credit. Yeah, maybe, we'll see. Next year, Maryland's going to do the 3K tax credit too. Oh shit, that's coming back. I didn't know that was they signed that in the bill or anything like that, but that's pretty cool. The one thing with that is that Maryland has 6% upfront for tax. Virginia has 4%. That you're going to be paying 2% difference upfront, so you got to factor that in. And the Maryland 3K tax credit is a rebate, so you don't get it immediately. It's like file for paperwork, wait 6 years or whatever, 6 months from the paperwork office, and then they issue a check. And there's a couple times where it's run out of funding, and you don't get your check until they approve the next bill and anything like that. But is this for the SE? Yes, this is for the SE, which I think that's what you have, right? You have the base, yeah, SE. So so of course don't expect 56K for this, maybe 54, 53. But that's a really realistic number. So hopefully you can hit your price targets. Up moderate springs, nice. That's a good. How much was the kit? How much was the install? I'm super curious because I really wanted to do that, but I didn't necessarily want to kind of like spend the money on it because I knew I wasn't going to keep it long. But that's, I mean, if it made a difference in ride suspension, that's pretty awesome. Berserkin, do you have a referral for cheap Tesla finance? We're going to go through that in the next couple pages through here because we're talking about the car market and are used car prices or new car prices even going to come down because of demand is dissipating, which basically my thesis is that it's not for certain makes and models. EV cars are going to be in demand. Tesla is definitely going to be in demand. So I don't think that's going to be happening. I think what I do think is there's going to be certain makes and models that are going to suffer, and that's going to be kind of those other makes that maybe approved loans too easily because there has been some defaults that have came back, but they've come back to the kind of the rate that it was before the pandemic. And then there's this other article that I found that Gen Z and millennials don't pay their bills. Yeah, they default more than other people, and so maybe they're getting approved for cars that they shouldn't be getting and drive around in too heavy rides. Yeah, Razor, I paid $300 for the springs used and installed them myself. Dude, that's awesome. That is a pro move. Always buy car parts used because no point in buying it brand new. Like it's basically becoming used the second you install it, and car parts they're pretty strong, so there's no reason to buy new. So great job with that. And you install it yourself. Damn, you are a pro. That's pretty. Did you get alignment and everything? Oh yeah, because you have to do rotations and stuff. So that's, man, that I wish I could install springs myself because that's actually a really hard job with like the compressor and all that stuff. Yeah, I used to be a racer with my Honda Civic, so I know. All right, so let's get into financing because Berserkin said so. This is a really cool sheet, Berserkin, that goes through and compiles rates through credit unions across the country at certain rates. Some of this data is a little bit outdated and broken because the person who created this sheet hasn't really kept up with it, but it still is a pretty decent resource because you can kind of get a picture. These rates are definitely old, but you can kind of get a picture of certain credit unions that might be in your area that you could get approved for or that you could join. It's pretty easy to join credit unions, actually. You just need to, say you know someone or something. And it's a good starting point. Take some of these, throw it into the Google machine and Google to see what rates they're posting out. But definitely some of these are, because I don't think there's anybody doing like 1.9 right now. I think the lowest I saw was like 2.7. Maybe there's 1.9. We'll look in a second, because after I go through my top 2 financing vendors that I usually go through, and then we'll go after that. Ooh, all right. Paid. So you can, bro. It's fairly simple on the 3 and the Y. Oh, okay. So is it like, what would you compare it to in terms of like other models or other makes and models that, like, in terms of toughness for springs? All right. In terms of financing, my other top really good bank that I've financed 2 Teslas with so far, they pretty much have the lowest rates that I've seen, but unfortunately it's gone up. But they do have discounts for efficiency cars, and if you do like a direct deposit, I think you get like another 0.25 or 0.5, something like that. But ouch is what I'll say with this. 72 months, 4.24%. So even if you got like a slight discount, that's still like in the high 3s. Definitely hurts, but 3.24% for 65 months, that's not too bad, because if you got a discount, it would push it into the high 2s maybe. I just bought a Tesla through them and I got 2.74 for 72 months. I think I lucked out just a little bit. I think I had a friend got 2.74 on his Model Y. He just took delivery a couple weeks ago and put 0 down, and I think 65 months, like 2.74% as well. But DCU is good because they have a discount for energy efficient cars. Sorry, guys. Yeah, check them out, and it's pretty easy to join. You do not need a referral for them. You can just say your friends and family. You can say you're my friends and family. I really wish they would bring the referrals program back, because definitely sent a lot of good referrals, but they haven't brought it back yet because of the new platform. Happy Hippo, interest rates are high. Yeah, exactly. Where are you looking for financing, or what are you trying to buy? Are you trying to buy a Tesla, or are you like waiting it out a little bit because interest rates are definitely high? The other good resource, I mean, Bank of America is good. All the big banks are going to have good rates. But 3.79% for a new car, I mean, it's pretty high, and they might even jack you up a little bit higher if the interest rates are not good. But yeah, let me find this other one. There definitely was another site. Here we go, June 28th. Is that recent, guys? Let's see. Ooh, too late already. Wow. That was quick. So Northwest Credit Union, another one that was pretty much recommended. 3.79 for 63. So DC is probably still a better bet, I would imagine. Yeah, it's too late. So don't look at this one. DCU does a lot of Tesla financing. They know the process. They know exactly. They can walk you through it. If you submit the application, though, don't rely on them to follow up with you. You got to call them, follow up with them to issue the check and everything. But they're pretty good once you get in contact with them, or you get a call back, and they know the process with Tesla. They just mail it directly to them. Happy Hippo, did you have a Model Y long range or performance? I have a long range on Orange, debating on upgrade to the performance if to get it earlier. I had a long range, I'm sorry, I had a Model Y performance, but I then swapped the rims from the 21s to a 20s, got some cash out of that. But yeah, I kind of did the same thing. The Model Y performance, you get it quicker, and it's only like, at the time when I was like, it was like $3,000 more or $5,000 more. So it was worth it for me to get it quicker for the Model Y performance. In terms of should you switch, it depends. Like, are you going to get the same price book in terms of like the Model Y performance? So you could try doing that to get it a little bit quicker if you need a car sooner or because you're trying to time interest rates. Yeah, it might be worth it. Besides DCU, any others you know that you've worked with Tesla? So my first Model 3 I bought through Tesla financing, and they just set me up with I want to say like Wells Fargo or something like that. Yeah, Wells Fargo. And so that was painless. I did it. The one cool thing with going through Tesla is the ease of process. Like you don't have to deal with anything. You do it all through their system. They set you up with the payments and everything. And then actually my Model Y, my Model Y actually, what I remember was I bought it through Tesla financing and then refinanced with DCU like 2 months later at the low rate that DCU had. So you might as well do that. Wells Fargo for 2.49. Yeah, that sounds like my rate. Did you look up my videos? That sounds really familiar, but yeah, something like that. It was like 2.49. But what I would do now, if when I do buy another Tesla, it's going to be later this year for sure. What I would do now is I would go through Tesla first, because when you go through Tesla first, you got, you know, 30-day, 60-day grace period, and it's ease of process. So if they can get you approved, squared away, all checked, you just come in, sign your name, and sign your left away. Do that. Take delivery of the car, and then just refinance the DCU, because DCU knows the process. They cut the check to whoever, and then you get another 45 days of not paying. You get to basically drive without paying a single payment for 3 to 4 months. Think about that. And then if you're like me, crazy, you then flip it in the 6th month and you only pay 2 payments. You basically get to drive 2 payments for 6 months. So think about that. Think about that. It's might as well do it now while you can. Drive it, experience it, you know, drive the Teslas, and then figure out which one you actually want while you do all that whole process, because there's a great opportunity right now to get into cars, not pay for any maintenance, not pay for tires, and not pay anything for car. Be like Rena's, make 13K profit just like that. Easy clap. Rena's, well, that's what they gave me when I bought my Y. Okay, yeah. Great rate. I'm sorry. That's, I mean, yeah, it's great. I wonder what it is now for you, probably like 3.5 to 4. Which I think, like, when the rates go up, because I think I saw something like BMW for the new cars is like 4% at a buy rate, so it's already like a 5% for a brand new car. Like that's going to affect the market, but I don't know how much that's going to affect it, because people have all these pending orders with all these other makes and models. Like, are they going to be more selecty and choosy, or are they just going to be like, I need a car now, it's here, I want it, financing, who cares how much I pay? Like what's a couple $100, or what's $50 to $100 is going to be a difference. So that brings up a great question, Dennis. Let's see, because with housing and auto loans or housing loans, 1% makes an insane difference. But cars, I don't know if it does. Let's see. All right, 55,000. That's probably the average. Pop a cough drop. That's a good idea. Let me get some water. I'll be right back, guys. Hit the like and subscribe. All right, I'm back. Thanks for saving me, Happy. All right, so let's run through let's run through some hypotheticals right here. Maybe I'll just talk slower. I'll be better. Okay, so $55,000, 72 months, 4.5% interest rate. Let's go with $1,000. Sure, 7%. That's probably average. So someone who's buying a Tesla or any other EVV, average price $55,000, $857 a month at 4.5%. So let's say interest rates are up, which they are. Let's say it's now 6%. Now their payment only goes up $40 a month, which I know over 72 months, 40 times 72. I don't even want to think how much that is. That's $3,000. But in the grand scheme of things, like most people that are probably buying EVs right now are trying to save gas. And so if they increase $40 a month on a car payment, they're still ahead $100 to $200 by not paying for gas. That's probably what most people are thinking right now. That's why EVs, and especially Teslas, are kind of protected from the crash. So I don't think EVs and Teslas are going to crash, but other cars, gas cars, especially the non-hybrid cars or big SUVs that aren't the Hummer EV, that's gonna be that's definitely gonna crash for sure. Those, especially the ones where questionable financing came into play, or Gen Z bought it because he just got the new paycheck, got that new bonus, wants that sign-on bonus, he wants to ride heavy. That's probably where it's gonna happen. Those makes and models. Teslas, I don't think are gonna crash. EVs definitely aren't crash, but certain cars, maybe even some exotics where they, high price points like 250, 300, 150. What's interesting is though, I'm in a Facebook group that goes through a lot of like cars, and a lot of auto industry people are in there, and G-Wagons have came down immediately already. They used to be at the height, maybe like 6 months ago, G-Wagons you probably couldn't touch for 100, 150K over MSRP. Now 50K, I'm seeing multiple places 50K over, and soon I bet it's going to go to MSRP pretty soon as well. But what's going to change with that is at the end of the year, most business owners need a write-off, and that's where the G-Wagon is going to come right back up because they need the write-off for that. Any advice on getting a new Tesla advisor if your advisor has no clue on the product? Sorry to burst the bubble, but most Tesla advisors are great. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. You could try going into the store. That's probably the best bet. Go in, talk to whoever, just try to ask them questions. That's always been my best bet. Even if I've had orders on the queue, I would still go into the store, talk them up, ask them questions. And the really cool thing is, the store people or any salespeople, most of them, if they're good, know how to look up existing inventory to see what cars are available, especially demo status, so that you can get a discount, things like that on certain vehicles. But yeah, back to the subject at hand. I don't think there's going to be a crash. We've gone over CarGurus price trends. Nothing is really down. I mean, there are certain models like Fords and stuff. I don't even know if let's go back. What's down in the past 30 days? SUVs are down. Oh, surprised. Gas is going up, down, left. Gas has gone down from the high. Minivans down 1%. Interesting. I thought minivans were in like high demand. But yeah, what's down here? Acura, no surprise, even though they had the new Integra come out. Cadillac down 0.5, Chrysler 0.1. I mean, I guess these are used cars, so that wouldn't reflect the new Integra. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of stuff is down a teeny bit, but Tesla up 1%. Too bad, like Hyundai is Hyundai, it's not isolated, but Hyundai's up 0.8%. So that's interesting too. I wonder if that's anything from the Ioniq or the EV cars. Genesis up 1%. Another EV car that's came into the market. That's that's really about it. Porsche up 1%, no surprise there. But yeah, this is where I think like the people that are going to be default on their loans, delinquent, repossessions, it's going to be some of these other makes and models that traditionally have already been tough. Models like Nissan, only down 0.6. Hyundai is actually, in my opinion, or maybe even Kia. See, Kia up 1%, so not too bad there. But yeah, I think those some other brands that aren't like the ones that are going to get approved easily. Some other brands like to approve people a lot easier. Kind of just show up with an ID or something, or some money down, some stimulus money. That's where we're going to see some drops. The question is, will that affect the entire used car market when those cars drop down? Will it affect? I mean, it probably will, because the entire sentiment is going to be lower. The other thing is, maybe some of these Gen Zs, maybe some of them are in Teslas or other EVs, can't afford it. Maybe they start popping out and roll into having to sell it, which would then put more used car inventory. into the market, which would then bring new car prices down because demand is down as well. But yeah, that's pretty much been it so far in terms of like the articles and things that I wanted to go through. Now we're going to kind of react to Stephan's video and where this whole idea kind of came up with. And let me know if you guys like today's stream. Like I love to do like weekly. I would love to do weekly streams like this, kind of going over the market, especially Tesla and some other EV cars, to see if in fact has the used car or the car market, has it popped, or when will it pop? That is the question. All right, so let's do a quick sound test. There we go. We are good. Good. All right, let me move this into frame. So Stephan, if you don't know, is a financial YouTuber. He actually makes really good content. Talks about current events. Kind of gives a more level playing field perspective than some other world is crashing type YouTubers. But I do like watching his content. He's got a lot of good tutorial videos or explanation videos with like real estate, Teslas as well as just how to save money. So we'll go ahead and react to this, watch this, and then that would be, well, then of course we'll do a Q&A. If anybody else has some other questions with Tesla buying, selling, flipping, ownership, or anything like that.
First of all, I gotta say, I am shocked that more people aren't talking about this, because we're facing a huge problem in the used car market, and honestly, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Like, we all know that used car prices have gotten really expensive, but did you know that those car prices have outperformed the stock market in 2020, 2021, and also 2022? In just the last year...
Yeah, there was actually a joke where buying a Tesla is a better investment than buying Tesla stock within the past year, because Tesla stock has just completely crashed from like $1,000 to $1,100 to now like $600, $700. Whereas if you bought a Tesla Model Y like Rena did, you can make $13,000 and drive it for a whole year, which you can't even put value on that. Like, to have a car to drive and make $13,000, that's actually like $20,000 profit, because you got utility out of it. You got to use it in your day-to-day life as well. So, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Used car prices have increased 40%, which is twice the growth of the housing market, 4 times the growth of contemporary art, and 5 times higher than the 40-year record-breaking inflation of 8.5%. However, the days of used cars selling for more than new is beginning to come to an end, with the automotive industry on the brink of an auto loan collapse that has the potential to shake out the entire market as defaults begin to...
So used cars selling for more than new. We've been seeing that in the Mannheim auctions. You can see a car with an MSRP of 50K, whatever the brand or make and model is, be selling for more. And in fact, that was probably a good business for some people, just try and buy it immediately and flip it for more. But I don't think that though every car is going to keep like that. There's going to be certain cars and models that there just won't be demand, especially someone maybe like the gas only cars. They're going to drop in demand, and they're not going to be able to be selling for more. And we've already seen it with the Model X. And the Model X right now, if you bought it out the door, everything is going to be like $138,000. But if you actually went to go sell that at auction, you only get like $128,000. So you lose $10,000 to $15,000 right off the bat if you went to go try and dump it in the auction.
To increase on predatory loans that never should have been issued to begin with. But hey, at least on the bright side, they arrested an avocado thief in California. Anyway, let's talk about the current state of the auto industry, how this quietly became one of the most egregious bubbles that very few people are talking about, and how this will likely affect the value for vehicles over these next few years, for better or I guess for worse. Although before we start, there was a lot of research that went into making a video like this, so it's factually correct and accurate as of the time I'm posting this video. So if you appreciate that, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed or hit the like button for the YouTube.
Yeah, definitely check out Stephan. He posts a lot of good content. Go to his channel, subscribe. You probably are already, and hit the like. I've already hit both, so I'm supporting
the algorithm so that more people could see exactly what's going on. So thank you guys so much for doing that, and also a big thank you to Amaze for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. Alright, so for anyone who's ever wondered how on earth we got here, why 82% of cars were selling for over MSRP, and how this was even allowed to get so out of control, it's all Jerome Powell's fault. He did it. Okay, not really, but just like everything else, 2020 has been a hell of a drug.
I mean, it kind of is someone's fault, whether it's the Federal Reserve or Jerome Powell. But I definitely think that the demand for everything has kind of spiked up with the low interest rates and the fact that since interest rates are low, banks feel more comfortable issuing out loans for cars that have higher value because they see the value of the cars at the auction. So they feel just like, hey, just give everybody a car, get them approved, get them on the door, because worst case, worst case to it, they can pull the car back and just dump into the auction and be okay as long as the car is not completely wrecked. So definitely it's basically had an effect on the auto market for sure.
See, in most normal circumstances, when you go and buy a new car, that car loses, on average, 11% as soon as you drive it off the lot. Within a year, it's lost 25% of its value, and within 5 years, the average car is worth 63% less than it would cost new. This makes...
Yeah, and that's actually, so I bought my first Tesla in 2019, a Tesla Model 3 Stealth Performance. I want to say I bought it like late December of 2019. Drove for 18 months and I sold at a loss, actually. Like I paid like $60K out the door for it and I sold it for $48K at the end of it. So I lost money, about $500 a month through that whole period, not factoring in gas savings. And I lost money and I sold it 18 months. So that would have put it like in the middle of 2021. I lost money. And so I probably sold that Model 3 right before the bubble or the increase of values went up, and I just timed it like ever so slightly off. But I probably could, if I had waited another 6 months, I probably could have broken even. But then I wouldn't have taken delivery of my Model Y, which I got $4,000 off of the price. So it kind of bounces out at the end of the day, and I was able to get out into another car really quickly.
Sense, because technology is dated, the car experiences wear and tear, and it's no longer the latest design. But in 2020, auto manufacturing completely stopped in the wake of the shutdown. This meant that for a brief period of time, no new cars were being built. Although what made the situation worse wasn't so much the auto manufacturers, but instead the tiny little chips that went inside the car. And no, not those chips. These chips. Semiconductors like this make it possible.
Yeah, and that's actually still an issue today, but now it's starting to affect other parts of the cars, like the seats, any other part. It's like they're having shortages because of the factories that make it get shut down, and that puts the delay. And so there's cars out there that are just mismatched, are not completely built for various reasons, not including parts. So that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why I think the auto shortage or the crash, the car market bubble crash is not necessarily going to happen immediately, because there's still a production issue with cars, and there's a lot of people on waiting lists for cars out there that will be willing to take delivery like immediately.
For the car to control everything from the windows, the sensors, the ignition, navigation, and everything else. So much so that a modern car requires in excess of several thousand chips. And even though that sounds like a lot, the auto industry only uses about 3% of the global chip supply. The rest gets used by consumer electronics, like smartphones, which saw a record increase throughout 2020 and 2021. So those products get priority. As a result, excess demand combined with manufacturing delays, a lack of labor, and a supply chain crisis led to a shortage of semiconductor chips, which of course led to a shortage of new cars being completed. In fact, the UK suffered its worst manufacturing year since 1956 in terms of output, and the US continues to halt production on their most popular vehicles simply because they don't have the components to finish them. That means higher prices for everybody else. At the same time, demand for cars has skyrocketed to the point where buyers are willing to pay a premium just to get anything that they can, and all of a sudden a 3-year-old car is selling for more than its original sticker price brand new. And
yeah, I mean, customers are willing to pay it, but more so dealers are willing to mark up cars. And so there's actually a really cool site called markup.com, which basically is a customer user generated site where people can go onto it and enter in where they bought the car, where they saw the car, how much the markup is for what model it was on. If you're looking to buy a car and you want to see if there's markup, or if there isn't markup, you can go to here, put the model in, put the keyword in wherever to see which places aren't charging astronomical markups.
That's where the problem begins. See, when buyers purchase a car, the vast majority of them are financed. In fact, 85% of new car purchases are bought with debt, along with 55% of used car purchases. And what makes this so unique is that, unlike real estate, auto loans are not subject to strict underwriting requirements, allowing nearly anyone to get a loan if they really want to drive off with a new purchase.
Yeah, this is where it gets super scary because not only are cars being marked up, banks have to then finance those cars at a higher loan to value ratio with maybe cash down. That's where it creates this elevated, this car is being sold at this price for this financing, and if it all crushes comes tumbling down, and the auction values can't support because no one wants to buy from there, that's kind of where the risk is. But that has to start with people defaulting, which, I mean, it might happen with some of these Gen Z or other auto loans that have been pushed out there.
So bad that Jalopnik ran a story in late 2021 detailing just how easy it was to get a loan and how predatory those loans have become, calling it a true wild, wild west and a poorly regulated wasteland. Or in other words, borrowers with great credit scores are being funneled into high-interest loans that were more than double the average rate. On top of that, 25 to 50% of loans were given to customers who might not be able to afford them.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting because my past two Teslas, I was able to get both of them, buy both of them, finance them with zero down. And these are big ticket items. And thankfully, I have good credit and good income, but I mean, there's probably people that kind of are doing the same thing with similar setups and just getting into the car with signing their signature, which can be very scary if you don't know or if you're not good with money management.
To make matters even worse, lenders rarely verified income and employment to borrowers to confirm that they had sufficient income to repay the loan. Of the loans Consumer Reports looked at, these verifications happened just 4% of the time. And if that wasn't unbelievable enough, as of now, 5% of auto loans in the US are behind on payments and nearly half are underwater, where the buyer owes more on the car than what the car is actually worth. And that says a lot when you consider that auto prices are already significantly higher than they were just 2 years ago. And just like the housing market collapsed from the loan crisis in 2008, it's said that the same thing is beginning to happen in the automotive industry, and I didn't even believe it until I saw the numbers. But before we go into that,
Yeah, I mean, believe it, we're probably getting back to before pre-COVID levels or pandemic levels of auto loan defaults and not foreclosures, repos. And so we'll kind of just even out because there's going to be a lot of makes and models that are out there that the banks kind of just willy-nilly kind of give them the loan, and that's probably what's going to happen when they start to default and those cars go back in the market. So it's going to certainly tank some certain makes and models, probably not EVs and Teslas. But then regarding the paycheck and credit thing, that's super interesting too, because of the past 3 cars that I bought Teslas through various banks, only one bank required me to show my income. But the other ones were just like, here you go, you're good to go, like you're good, your credit looks good, so you don't have to worry about it. So that is kind of scary that people kind of can just put whatever number, and then they're, I mean, of course it's illegal to put whatever number there. If you lie on a credit application, you're basically breaking some sort of law. But it is pretty scary that you can just put whatever number in there and someone won't verify your pay stub. So I think this next part is an ad where they're giving away Tesla Model S Plaid. It's by Amaze, so if you are interested in that, Amaze is a pretty interesting company where you can donate, enter in like sweepstakes for like $5, give or take, and supposedly it all goes to a good place. But yeah, do your research.
Loans are bundled together and sold on the secondary market for investors who want to get paid back with interest. In return, lenders get their money back, plus a small fee, and they could use those proceeds to hand out new loans to start the process over again. With the real estate market, this spelled disaster because subprime loans were falsely packaged as safe investments, and when homeowners couldn't afford those monthly payments, they defaulted, banks couldn't pay back their investors, and everything went to poop. Since then, lenders have strengthened their requirements, increased down payments, and verified financials. But with the car market, that's not being done. Instead, investors have had such a big appetite for buying up packaged car loans that they're selling at the fastest pace in years, to the point where subprime auto bonds with junk ratings have been selling at yields as low as 3.5% versus as high as 9% 4 years ago. This essentially means...
Yeah, that's pretty scary to think that a bunch of these loans are bundled up and being sold But it's a little bit, I would say it's a little bit different with cars because cars are such like a fluid thing. Like you can move the car, sell it across the country, whereas a house is kind of stuck and it's a way bigger purchase. But I get it. Like if there's, there's a bunch of crap people and they all default on loans, and then they can't turn and sell the car to someone else. But there's just a lot more buyers in the space, especially like the cheaper cars, like the 20 to 30K. They can easily get in and out and hopefully not lose too much money. But if it's a bunch of subprime 10, 20% interest rate loans that are all bundled together and they all default, then I can see, or they're being sold as AAA or really good credit, then I can see where that can be a huge problem.
Means that investors are highly unlikely to see a positive return on their investment because 3.5% is nowhere close to compensating on the level of risk associated with lending money on a vehicle that's probably not worth the price that they paid. And right now, the auto loan industry is a $1.4 trillion market. On top of that, as car prices have risen, lenders have offered longer loan terms to allow for more people to finance a car. Experian noted that the number of car loans of 72 months or longer is the highest it's ever been. Even more concerning is that some lenders are willing to finance up to 125% of the car's value. So if you bought a car for $30,000, you would be able to get $37,500 to include sales tax, registration, title, and fees. Then instantly you're in the negative without even turning on the car.
And so the 125% loan to value, it also includes markup too. So that's where a lot of these dealers are where finance companies are stuffing it into there to try and build the markup in there so that they can get finance, because they got to get extra money somehow. But yeah, according to the finance thing, before like 3-4 years ago, 78-month, 84-month financing really wasn't a thing, but now it's like a lot more common throughout the market. I just bought a different car, which I have a video coming out soon that actually gets the tax credit of $7,500. But I went with 78-month financing at 2.74% because two things. I wanted the low payment because I knew I wasn't going to keep the car too long, like a year. And so I didn't really care about the interest I paid because it doesn't matter at the end of the day because I'm going to get out of it and I still have $7,500 in reserve.
Now, in all fairness, negative equity like this is nothing new, and unlike a house, repossessing and auctioning off a car to recoup some of your investments is a fairly quick process. But the magnitude at which this is occurring is beginning to draw some concern, and this is what we have to get to.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Selling a car, repoing it and just dumping to the auction like we looked at before is a lot easier. There's more buyers in the space because not only are there customers in the space, there's dealers that will then go and sell to other dealers. So think of it like the housing market. If all the real estate agents out there were also buying and flipping their own inventory as well, that's basically what the car market is.
As supply chain constraints, production, and chip manufacturing begin to improve, used car prices are beginning to drop, down 6.4% since the record high in January. This also marks the fourth consecutive month that auto prices have fallen, and the first month that sales declined 17%.
So sales decline it's more so, I would say, a production thing. They don't produce enough cars to then sell it. The auto industry has just had production issues left and right. So that's probably where that sales figure comes from. But if we go back to like the CarGuru index, like we're still up 11-12% year over year. So I don't see a crash according to this just yet, but then we're still up 0.8% in the past 9 days. There was like a slight dip in March, but I think we talked about it earlier, but that's probably because people are waiting for their like tax refunds. So they kind of held off buying a car, got the refund in April, and then bought a car shortly after. So used car market, we just went to all, if I can get it. Yeah, it started the year at 30,761. Now 30,902. So like, I don't know, 0.5% increase from the beginning of the year. So used car prices are still pretty high for the year.
Well, this is certainly good news for anyone who's soon to be in the market for a car. It's a nightmare for banks who have lent money on those cars at a value that's rapidly beginning to fall. Right now, it's said that investors are willing to bet that consumers will keep paying their loans in the near term, because after all, a car could be an essential purchase that allows people to go to and from work or be used as a way to make money. But that might not necessarily continue. A survey from Fannie Mae found that 16% of consumers said that they expected to lose their job in the next 12 months. And that is generally the time time when finances get tight and people cut back on the items that are costing them too much money, or in this case, it's expensive auto loans. Just recently, it was reported that 8.5% of subprime borrowers defaulted on their car loans, which is the second highest total on record. The Wall Street Journal even...
The other interesting thing right now with the looming car crash is there's a lot more companies, whether it's Carvana and CarMax variants or the plenty of other spin-offs in the space. You've probably seen the Facebook ads or the local ads where people are willing to buy your car because they're wholesalers right off of you and then flip it elsewhere. So there's a lot of companies in the space that are willing to do that, like easily cut you a check. Whether you lose money or not, it's a different case and scenario, but there's a lot more avenues to selling your car than just a private sale or dealer. There's dealers, private sellers, wholesalers. There's a lot more in the space. So it's a lot easier to just get out of your car if you need to and get someone that will just hand you and give you their money to pay off whatever loan that you have.
Found that more subprime borrowers have started missing payments as rising prices force households to choose between paying for the essentials or paying off loans. Now the government is warning about a surge in car repos and that the problems could get much worse unless we stay ahead of it. The reality is, lenders have potentially given buyers unaffordable loans without verifying their financials on values that can't be sustained without a chip shortage. And it's only a matter of time until eventually things have to come down and return to normal. The reality is, for most people, just like a house, a car could be a necessity. But just like any payment, it needs to be affordable. Otherwise, you run the risk of making a huge mistake. In most cases, the rule of thumb here is what's called the 24-10 rule. 20% down payment on a 4-year loan where you spend no more than 10% of your monthly income on transportation. But what actually happens is completely the opposite. Instead, the average payment is just 11.7% on a 72-month loan with a car that's being kept for 71.4 months. So
yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, people I typically keep hearing that people keep their car about 5 years, so 72 months is a little bit pushing it to that further out month time frame. But yeah, I mean, that makes complete sense. Most people can only put not even like 10%, but like if they're buying like a $30,000 car, that's $3,000 down, which barely even covers taxes. So they're underwater typically in the previous times where cars lost value, but most cars kind of have held value now. So if there starts to be a lot of delinquencies and repos, that might be where we'll see a lot of more used cars come into the market they just have to get out of it.
Basically, people aren't even finished making their payments before they roll that into a brand new loan that starts the process all over again. So between an unprecedented surge in prices, rising interest rates, and chip manufacturing beginning to return to normal, we should expect auto prices to begin to fall right alongside with your cryptocurrency investments. Just kidding. But seriously, KPMG predicts that used car prices could drop 30% as more supply hits the market, and Ally Financial predicts a 20% decline. The timing is a bit uncertain, but it does look like it's starting to unravel over the next 12 to 18 months. Overall, from everything that I have researched, my biggest concern is that too many people have locked themselves into auto loans that were more expensive than they could afford. And in the event of a job loss or a reduction in income, those people wouldn't be able to sell the car for as much money as they owe. And if they can't come out of pocket on a $25,000 car that they owe $35,000 on, they'll have no other choice other than to get their car repossessed, flooding the market with more inventory and causing prices to decline even further.
So he does have a good point, because typically the third and fourth quarter of the year are auto manufacturers and dealers' biggest months, especially November, December. That's when they pump the most volume across the nation and they have the best sales. So if all this pending inventory that was stuck in the production finally delivers to dealers and goes into the market, and then manufacturers are then forced to give certain deals to kind of push inventory and hit numbers through the end of the year, that's probably where we'll see kind of more activity. But I don't think there's going to be a crash until probably January, December, because January and February are typically the slowest months in the car industry, where there's always like a huge dip in terms of sales volume. That's probably when there's going to be a dip in sales prices for used cars, and we'll probably see a decline. But in terms of like, it depends on the make and the model at the end of the day. Certain areas, just like housing, certain areas in certain cities are going to decrease more, just as certain models, makes and models are going to decrease more. And I don't think Tesla is going to be a part of that picture unless they really start to increase prices. But even then, And if they start to keep increasing prices for the Model Y, Model 3, and maybe more used car owners want to take advantage of it, maybe that floods the market. But I mean, I don't think Tesla has such high demand, because even right now, if you were to buy or put your name in the order for a Model 3 or Model Y, you're still gonna be waiting months just to get it. So I think if you're in the market, you don't want to buy new, you want to buy a used car, January, February is definitely going to be your price, your timing to when you want to strike and get the market right around that time, and just save cash while in the meantime.
This is especially true right now when more than half of all auto loans are underwater, meaning they owe an average of $3,700 more than what the car is actually worth. And that negative equity is only going to get worse the more auto values decline. At a certain point, it's just not sustainable, and that needs to be acknowledged. We also have businesses like Carvana who actively lose $3,200 for every car sold, and when they have more than 55,000 cars, that's a lot of losses that have to go somewhere, like their stock, which is also down 91% year to date. Now, on the bright side, logistically, don't expect this to be anywhere near the size of the housing collapse, because loan sizes are significantly smaller and it's a lot easier to repo and auction a car than it is to foreclose on a home. In addition to that, most auto loans have a fixed interest rate, so even though a buyer may owe way more than the car is worth, as long as they can continue making those monthly payments, the solution is to hold on to the car longer than expected and keep driving it until eventually you break even. The best strategy in this case is to simply recognize that 40% price increases year over year is not sustainable or to be expected. And if you find yourself with a loan that might not be affordable, now would be a good time to either lower your interest rate or drive something less expensive, so that way you could save the difference.
Or sell it immediately, pocket the difference, and then try and get something that's a little bit more, makes more sense, like a great EV with low maintenance, no gas, and just a better value. Like exactly what Happy, you exactly put it on the point. High gas prices, inflation side, demand side, prices are not coming down for EVs, and especially Teslas, for the near future until maybe next year, but we'll see.
This is certainly something to be made aware of, and if you don't believe me, I'll link to my newsletter down below in the description where you can see each and every single one of my sources. Very few people are talking about this, and the more people understand what's going on, the more we could prevent the problem from only getting worse in the future.
But yeah, thanks for watching my reaction to this video about the car market bubble. It kind of inspired this whole today's stream about going through all the different data and everything. Definitely check out Stephan. He's a great YouTuber. I watch a lot of his content. Hit the like on his video, comment on his video. Dennis sent you there, I guess, DennisCW. But definitely hit the like, check his channel out. But yeah, we'll move to the Q&A. If anybody has any questions on like Tesla buying, selling, ownership, or anything like that, we'll probably just stream for a few more minutes. Feel free to put your question into the chat. I'll try and answer it as best as I can. But yeah, I'll be right back. Let me get some more water to soothe my throat. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching today's stream. If you liked it, please comment that I should do this weekly. I probably would like to do stuff like this to go through the data that I have access to and try and track the used car market, especially Teslas, to see if you have one, is it time to exit? Or if you're waiting to get one, is it time to buy? Or if you have pending orders, is it time to, I don't know, try and take an inventory or something like that. Well, the one thing we didn't actually get to go through today is my favorite Tesla website, waitingfortesla.com. Great, fantastic website where you can see existing inventory that is out there, whether it's new or demos, to see if there's any available that you can pounce on. But just because there was immediately a quarter that just ended in June, I don't think there's going to be too many on here, but let's just do a quick check. Model 3, 0. Model Y, 0. When I checked on like June 30th or June 29th, there was like 6 or 7 out there, including a 7-seater that actually had like a $1,000 discount, I think. That was the one to try and get, because 7-seaters are super rare. Let's go to Model S. Last time I was on here, there's like 100 plaids. Now it's only 21. Okay, so I guess they somehow sold 80 of them, or so. Oh, interesting. 2021 Model S Plaid. So 2021, so that's a little old. 2,000 miles, but $7,000 discount. Not too shabby if you want a Plaid. But it's 2021, so it's definitely like almost 2 years now. But that's another question. I wonder if anybody knows this in the chat. When does Tesla, I want to say it's like September, October, but when does Tesla go from 2022 to 2023? I'm pretty sure it's like September, October timeframe, and it probably changes by model. But if you own a Tesla now, you should really try and figure out for when that changes for your model, because that's if you're looking to sell and you're waiting for it, that's when you should sell, and that's probably when I'll sell, right when the model year changes over. All right, so now going back to the main page. Oh, they used to have my video here, but I guess it's gone. Sad. A Model X. Let's see, any available inventory? 0. When I checked, there was like 3 or 4, I think, on the last day. End of the quarter is the craziest times, is when you can try and get deals or inventory out there. But this is a really good website if you're looking, you're searching, you need a car immediately, you don't want to wait anymore. I think someone asked me, happy you asked me about, I know that you asked me about if they had any clue about the product, but this is a little different. You're trying to get pounce on inventory. It seems like there's no Model Ys, a couple Model S's, but check this website. There's a Discord you can join there for alerts, and as well as there's a Twitter that they have you can follow for alerts as well. Yeah, thanks for watching the stream, guys. Please hit that like if you enjoyed it. Also hit that subscribe. Pray for my voice and my throat. I do have a buy a coffee link if you want to support the channel. You can buy a coffee for my drives. I haven't done an autopilot video in a while, but I do want to try and set that whole rig up. Maybe try and do an autopilot live stream. That'd be cool. But if you want to support the channel, you can go down the link below, buy a coffee. You can get me a cold brew or something like that, or even a boba. That sounds actually good right now. All right, guys, thanks for watching today's stream. Hope you got some good information on it. Comment down if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one.